Skater Boy by Avril Lavigne, my guests of the day are coming on.
94.3
This is Good Morning Mumbai with Hrishikesh.
Radio 1.
Okay, I've just seen this. There's no other way to describe it but an oddball film called What Are the Odds? And I'm really pleased to welcome Abhay Deol. I haven't seen you since Chopsticks, bro. How are you doing? Holding up good during lockdown?
Yeah, man, I'm actually doing really well. I'm blessed. I'm privileged. I couldn't have less problems than what I have now, especially with what the world is going through. So I'm just thanking my stars that I am where I am.
Yeah, and your personality type in any case is, you come across as a guy who kind of likes his own company. So it's okay most of the time.
It's not even so much about being by myself, but the fact that I'm comfortable where I am.
Yeah.
And that's the big deal.
That's
today.
the big deal. Yeah, today. You're absolutely right. Yashwaswini, it's a terrible question to ask any woman straight up, but, considering it's the first time I've been.
And you're still going to ask her?
I'm still going to ask you.
I'm so intrigued right now.
How old are you?
It's the opposite. It's the opposite for me. I love when somebody asks me that because then I get to prove that I'm 25. I am not a child. Please take me seriously, world.
And you're doing pretty all right playing 12-year-olds and 13-year-olds and 14-year-olds.
Thanks.
Complaining. I love it. Karan, welcome back. Haven't seen you since Selection Day. I'm glad that you're doing fine. You're healthy. And all the love coming in for this one must make it easier.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, this was the first thing that I shot for. This was before Selection Day, actually. And I mean, it's good. I'm getting a lot of email attention. I'll put that out modestly, which is great. And more than that, I think the film is getting a lot of love. And that's something that makes me really happy, especially during this time when there's not a lot to look forward to. And then you suddenly have a film release and you get all these messages and all the attention. So it's good. It's good.
So, man, how do you... We'll come to your exceptional performance as an actor later, Abhay. You're so effortless the way at what you do. But let's put on your producer hat right now. You're known for your filmography, which is a combination of indie work as well as mainstream commercial cinema. When do you decide to back a film as a producer? I mean, the script is one thing, but you never know. The oldest myth in the industry is things look wonderful on a script, but how do you know how it's going to turn out? So how do you go by? Do you go by gut instinct? Do you go by conversations with your co-makers? Do you spend a lot of time on that? What is the basis on which you approve things to produce?
Well, you've kind of already hit the nail on the head. It's a combination of several of the things you've just said. One of the things is, does the script read well to me? Do I relate to it? Did it engage me? I have to be engaged by the script I've read. Forget whether it's written by someone who's new or being directed by someone who doesn't have a body of work behind them. For a moment, what is the product? Does it stand on its own? And if it does, then I entertain the other elements. All right, how much of a body of work or experience does the director have? Does the producer have? Blah, blah, blah. What platform will it go on? It's never easy. You are taking a risk. So you first accept the fact that the nature of the work you do comes with an element of risk, unless, of course, you are going to be working with people who are established and just kind of follow the formula that works. And so you just find that comfort that I'm not going out on a limb. I'm not taking any risks. I'm working with XYZ. It has XYZ budget. And if it doesn't do well, there's 3 other people who take the heat, and not me alone. I've kind of always taken the heat and willing to take the risk all on my own shoulders. So I've just continued doing that. Even as a producer, it became sort of the thing I do. So, I understand this space. So I think the main thing to do is stick to what you know. Don't try and do something because you believe it is the thing you should do, because you see that it is the thing that everybody else is doing. Because then you're just going to be a small fish in a large pond. Or you're going to then, even if you make success, you're just going to be molded in the image that works for that, environment. So now that I've gone away from that, I just look at the people and the subject that go with, the non-mainstream, that go with the non-formula. And then I'm safe. At least the credibility of continuing what I do will be there, even if it's something that you may or may not like, because there is that question, what you said, will it turn out good or not? That's the risk you take, man, especially when someone is debuting, that's something you just take the risk for.
Well said. Producer-actor Abhay Deol and actors Yashwaswini Dayama and Karanvir Malhotra are hanging with me talking about their film What Are the Odds? More to come right after this song. It's a Level of Concern by 21 Pilots on 94.3 Radio 1 One World, your station. I'm Hrishikesh. Calvin Harris with the Rag and Bone Man. That's giant Abhay Deol, who's just such a fine actor-producer, returns in Netflix's What Are the Odds? His co-star Yashwaswini Dayama and Karanvir Malhotra. They've also hopped on. More chat.
94.3
This is Good Morning Mumbai with Hrishi K.
Radio 1.
Another thing, Abhay, that you take a risk for is people's opinions. And how much does that still affect you? I mean, very recently, Anurag again made some unflattering comments. So all of us who stand for what we believe in and are a little bit stubborn in our ways of thinking are always open to criticism. How good is Abhay Deol at handling criticism if you look back from the days of Dev D to now? Have you improved on that front? I'm still struggling lots of times when people say, I'm a piece of shit or whatever it is. I just want to know.
For what Anurag said, and as you just said right now, when people say you're a piece of shit and whatnot, those things don't really matter to me because, it says more about the person talking than about me. When you just try and character assassinate, there's nothing about me being said. You're making a claim, and anybody with half a brain can be like, okay, that's your claim. What's the other side? So those things don't bother me because I don't feel the need to justify or defend myself. It's just not true. But when someone does constructive criticism, and I'm always looking for that, and that's what actually, Kannan, I tell you, look out for constructive criticism because it just makes you better. When somebody can kind of tell you, well, yeah, I can see what you're trying to do, but it comes across like this, or I know you believe in this, but actually factually, this is what the truth is. When someone can open you up for that, it's great because then they're coming without an agenda. People who try and assassinate you have an agenda behind them, and there's no reason to play into that.
Yeah, that's a very rational thought process. Yashwaswini, it's hard enough for people who are slightly older like Abhay and me to relate to a script written by a 17-year-old, and I believe this is a script written by a 17-year-old. And even by that account, you're about almost a decade away from that age. So, the fact that you have to play this particular character, how many, again, sessions with the writer and director to nail the part? Did you get it right at the look test, at the screen test, or did you see yourself evolving scene by scene over the course of the shoot?
When we did this, I was actually closer to 17 than I am right now. And like you said, we did a lot of workshopping. Karan and I, Megha, Shreya, we would sit with the script, we would break it down every scene by scene. And then we were like, Megha and Shreya kept talking about things that like when they were writing the script and what their references and influences were. So knowing all of that really helped develop this character. And then babyface to hai hi, so then wo part to we were like chill about that. I can at least look it. I just have to figure out behavioral aspects and just to get that intuition, those instincts as a teenager instead of instincts as a 20-year-old. So much so that I actually genuinely believed that I was younger than I am. Like especially when I was shooting with Abhay, I would feel like a child who's in front of this rock star, this behemoth, and was super hyperventilating and trying to play it cool. So it worked out very smoothly that way.
Karan, you actually really surprised me, bro. I mean, when you walk in as the head boy, we're like, okay, this is Karanvir Malhotra, the cool dude. We've seen this in Selection Day. We've seen this elsewhere. And then you end up being this kind of goofball, oddball kind of character, almost meeting what Yashwaswini's character does more than halfway, So I liked the way you kind of played that. But in that aspect, it's a difficult character to do, bro. I don't think you could have gone into this saying, yeah, man,
I mean, a lot, like Yashwaswini said, we did a lot of workshopping with Megha. And I think more than the characters, it was more about getting into their headspace because both Shreya and Megha, they looked at the entire movie in a very different way. Like it's not a usual film, so it's not that, it's a head boy. So he has these, those archaic traits that, okay, he has to be, perfect and methodical. So I think it was more about understanding what these guys wanted out of me than, having an interpretation of my own. And once I knew that, okay, this is the direction Megha wants the character to go in, then, I just kind of synced in. I understood from her that, what she wants. And as and when, we workshopped and we did a lot of script readings, I became more comfortable in that space. And it is a light film, so I always knew that I don't have to be very serious or very, pragmatic or methodical. And then, then I just became comfortable in that skin of that character.
Nice. Incidentally, the Megha he's referring to is Megha Ramaswamy, the debut director of What Are the Odds? And the writer, Shreya, that I spoke about, that's Shreya Vaidya, who was 17 when she wrote the film. More to come on the feature What Are the Odds with Abhay Deol, Yashwaswini Dayama and Karanvir Malhotra. I'm Hrishi K, and here's the weekend with blinding lights. Enjoy this only on 94.3 Radio 1 One World, your station. Bobby Ray Simmons Jr., aka B.O.B. with So Good. There's this wacky slice of life film called What Are the Odds that's currently streaming. In it are Karanvir Malhotra, whose performance you enjoyed in Selection Day, and Yashwaswini Dayama, whose part in Delhi Crime was much appreciated, and actor-producer Abhay Deol. The three of them are in a fun conversation with me.
94.3
This is Good Morning Mumbai with Hrishi K.
Radio 1.
You know, what I love about it is the unpredictability of it. I mean, Abhay, you know as well as I do, you see these super achievers in school, head boys, head girls, and 20 years down the line, you expect them to be the next captains of the industry and, conquering the world. And suddenly you will meet them at a coffee shop in Juhu and they're down in the dumps. I mean, it could be equally true for the rest of us, And that's the beauty of this whole film in the sense that it just throws up twists and turns and corners. And Val's character to me is damn interesting. I mean, it's such a grey area. You think he's this cool, super understanding guy, and then suddenly you find out perhaps that he might have stolen something. I'm not going to get into the details of it because it's a spoiler for people who haven't seen the film. And so speak to me about Val, the character, the rock star, as it were.
Well, it's, as you said, it's great. We're not saying that he did something wrong, and it's open to interpretation. What I like about that aspect of the story is that often happens in the creative space. Writers, directors, filmmakers, in whatever department they may be, when they get together and creative people discuss ideas together. And honestly speaking, it's conversations that lead people to find a solution to, let's say, an idea that they're dealing with. Now, is that stolen just because XYZ spoke to ABC and ABC happened to give an insight that XYZ liked and were able to incorporate in their story or their song? So I'm not going to give too much away because, as you said, people have not seen the story, but we've kept him great. It's not necessarily that he's black. It's not necessarily that he's white either. And I think that's also what we played up with him as a character. He's really straightforward. We didn't want to play him a rock star who is, in 46 frames and is a cool dude, and we didn't want to big him up like a hero in any way. That's another counter to the Bollywood formula, so to speak. A formulaic film would have at least had some glam shots of him, some highlighting or putting him up on a pedestal. But no, we actually played him down, and it was through the eyes of these two characters that he's put up on a pedestal, through Yashwaswini's character of worshipping, being in love with him. That's where you feel his grandness, not when you see him. When you see him, he's regular guy, regular shirt, speaks normally, and the same with Karanvir's character, where he feels the need to protect her because he's this sort of antagonist, which he really is not either, and that was what I loved about the film.
It's so amazing you would say this because I thought of exactly one of those things. I mean, you've worked with Imtiaz before, and I looked at Imtiaz's rock star, which Ranbir did, and I mean, that was a great part, there's no doubt about that, but the way that was built up, the rock and roll guy and this and that, contrasted to Val, who is so everyday. I mean, he's the kind of guy you'd walk into literally in an antisocial and, while you're having a few beers, you just look at him.
Do look like. If you meet them, that's what, especially with Indian artists, people who are in the music scene, rock stars and all that, they're very sort of approachable, down to earth. A lot of them are, not all of them, but a lot of them are. And the whole larger than life thing is a very Bollywood thing. You have to do that for a rock star because you have to conform to a formula. We're not conforming to anything. If anything, we're going to conform to what you would see in real life. And that's difficult for Bollywood to portray because they don't know how to, they're so used to hero worshipping. They don't know how to make a hero out of an ordinary person. It's just not in their DNA to be able to do that.
Sweet.
Abhay Deol, Yashwaswini Dayama and Karanvir Malhotra shall be back talking about their film What Are the Odds? Hang by for that as I play you some Sugar Babes and Round. I'm Hrishi K, and you're tuned into 94.3 Radio 1 World, your station. Say hello to Ed Sheeran and Chance the Rapper there with Cross Me. Speaking of music, there's a fair amount of that in the film What Are the Odds? Pop rock being the vibe helps that Abhay Deol plays a singer-musician in the flick. I'm in an interview with Abhay and his co-stars Karanvir Malhotra and Yashwaswini Dayama.
94.3
This is Good Morning Mumbai with Hrishi K.
Radio 1.
I just love the music, guys. I mean, it's just, Sagar Desai has just done such a remarkable job. I mean, Yashwaswini, you must really enjoy that, and, all the slice of nostalgia, the mixtapes and things like that. So instinctively, were you guys sent copies of the music earlier or did you just discover it when you were filming? Just great tunes.
So I knew Not a Love Song before we started shooting because I had to workshop with Sagar, learn to play the song, understand from Megha how she wanted me to perform the song. And then then every other song we heard on set. I still remember it. For me, Shine a Light on Me is so special because that's also when Abhay's character comes in, so the film's vibe completely changes, and it also became like a representative of my emotions for the film because it's like it's hopeful, it's energetic, it's fun, and it starts with like Boo and Me like slicing through a crowd, and it's just so much energy. So it really like symbolizes my feelings for the film. But then after the film was made, before we were going for IFLA, Karan and I recorded T for 2.
Yeah.
And it was such a small recording scene. We went to Sagar's home studio. There was a mic with a stocking, like a DIY filter. There was like, it was adorable. And then we just randomly did these things. We made these noises and sang the song. And then we heard it now when the album was out. We heard the entire song. So Sagar is definitely some magic man.
Yeah, I went through the credits and I was damn surprised to see all your names on the singing credits. Abhay has done a bit of that with Zindagi Na Milegi Dobara, which is completely different. But, big ups to you guys to render your vocal talents. Karanvir, to us, Jugal Hansraj is a part of Hindi cinema. You've got to, I'm sure you see reruns of Masoon playing, and, that's Jugal, dude. He's part of a slice of film history. And here he is involved in this film, and he's the voice of the goldfish, which I thought was just so cool. So you want to tell me about how that happened? Was he on set giving you cues, or was there somebody else doing it, an AD?
Not really. So this was added later, like much later in post-production. There wasn't even meant to be a fish voice, but I think Megha and the producers, Abhay and everyone watched the film. They felt that, there can be something in there, that makes it more fun and more quirky. So I think this was at a very later stage that Jugal's voice came in, and I mean the way it blended with the entire film, it's just beautiful. And especially, because he's a food addict, if you can call it. And, I think that was the funniest part in the film for me. So it came in much later though. Yeah.
So, Abhay, just tell me the motley crew of people who put this together. I mean, were you buddies earlier? Megha Ramaswamy, the director. I know Shimit Amin from the time that he was editing and directing for RGV, and then he made that fabulous Chak De. He's involved, the film Karma guys. So just the team that put it all together.
Well, I wasn't friends with Megha before I met her. She met me for this script to produce and act in. I wasn't so sure about the acting at that point, but I was like, let me see if I can help you with some production. And the Film Caravan crew I know from before, and so I put her in touch with them, and then that's how they came on board. A lot of the creative crew, obviously, the director had her choices, and we obviously followed up and then put her crew together as a team. A film making is really a collaborative process. No one person really. So while a director is hugely important, so is a producer, and while the producer is hugely important, so is the actor, and while the actor is hugely important, so is the DP. And you just, further down the run, the entire team comes into play. Yeah, it's a team effort. There's really individuals put in their part, but it's a jigsaw. It's many running parts.
Very well said.
We're going to enter the home stretch of today's chat with actors Yashwaswini Dayama, Abhay Deol and Karanvir Malhotra talking about their film What Are the Odds and Life in Lockdown. But not before I play you some Cheryl Cole and Under the Sun. This is 94.3 Radio 1 One World, your station. I'm Hrishikesh. The lovely Rita Ora with her Dancing in My Brain. Totally entertaining chat with actor Abhay Deol, who also produces Karanvir Malhotra of the Forgotten Army and Selection Day fame, and Yashwaswini Dayama of Phobia, Dear Zindagi, Made in Heaven and Delhi Crime fame. Go check out their film What Are the Odds on Netflix.
94.3
This is Good Morning Mumbai with Hrishi K.
Radio 1.
Yashwaswini, you've worked with them before. You did a part in Delhi Crime, didn't you?
The other way around. So we shot the film first and then jumped into Delhi Crime. So yeah, I was just thinking while you were describing the group, I was just thinking about how this was one of the sweetest, warmest and closest crews ever. Like everybody was so invested in the story, and the people are just so nice. And we did this Zoom call just before the premiere happened, and it was very hilariously awkward because everyone's been so out of touch. But it was so nice to see everybody's faces because we were practically quarantined together when we were shooting a part of What Are the Odds. We were in a hotel like day and night, full time together. So, and then Delhi Crime also, we spent a lot of time together. So yeah, it's an amazing crew.
Karan, you haven't spent as much time in Bombay as perhaps Abhay and myself have. But to me, it was just so nostalgic seeing lots of streets in town. Most films are shot this side or in sets or on location out of Bombay, but especially in lockdown to see, the streets of town, greater Bombay as it were. A lot of this stuff is just done on the fly. At least it looks like that, unless production designers come into play. So real life locations, I'd like you to talk about that, man.
Yeah, I mean, that was the first time I was going to Ballad Estate. I hadn't been there before. And it was just different. Like, it's like a different world. I remember you take that ride from the Asiatic Library and then you just enter this world which has these old buildings. And, I was, for the entire time, I was wondering if people even exist in them. Are they offices? What are they? Because they're so starkly different from the rest of Mumbai. And then, we made it weirder because we had a group of people who were above 60 in a red tracksuit dancing on a song. So I think everything then, I don't know, I stopped thinking, after one point. I was like, well, let's just do this. Let's, let's have fun. And then probably I'll get into the theoretical and the mental and the whatever, the practical side of it to understand it later. So, but that later come, I still think like, why does that place even exist?
Abhay, it must have reminded you of days of taking the train or, taking whatever transport to go to Regal and Sterling to see Hollywood films and hanging in studio and, that side of town, isn't it?
Well, I didn't have to do a lot of trips to South Bombay for, what business stuff, because obviously cinemas are there on our side as well. And the film industry is more based in North Bombay. So it's not like I had nostalgia of to go there, but I did do a lot of town. I remember when I came back from the States, and I think my accent was all messed up because I picked up a lot of new words and I'd learned them in well, so I used to see them like I'm American, but really I'm not. And so I used to do voice modulation classes in South Bombay and
wow.
with this Parsi lady. And so I had to drive every day. And so yes, and I always loved that part of the city because it's the older part, right? You have the old colonial structures and there's less speeders, potholes. It's just a much better kept part of the city than the north. And then the history you really see the colonial history, and I find that really attractive because it says a story, whereas you come to the north, it's built up really haphazardly,
Cinema making is such a lesson in camaraderie as well as history, as is evident from that bit of conversation. A last patch still to come with Abhay Deol, Yashwaswini Dayama and Karanvir Malhotra. On today's gig, it's the interview on their film What Are the Odds? And really, what are the odds that this song comes on? It's Meghan Trainor and No Excuses. You're tuned into 94.3 Radio 11 World, your station. My name is Hrishikesh. She's all fired, isn't she, Shakira, with Don't Bother. Abhay Deol's filmography is stunning to say the least. There's Socha Na Tha, Dev D, Honeymoon Travels, Ek Charlis Ki Last Local, Manorama 6 Feet Under, Oye Lucky Lucky Oye, and more recently Ranjana, Shanghai, Happy Bhag Jayegi, Aisha, Zindagi Na Milegi Dobara. He's now in the quirky film What Are the Odds? Along with him on my show are Yashwaswini Dayama and Karanvir Malhotra.
94.3
This is Good Morning Mumbai with Hrishikesh.
Radio 1.
Before we sign off, let's talk a little bit of your life in lockdown before we say bye. How are you guys holding up? Yashwaswini, do you have domestic help? Are you helping around the house?
No, yes, you are domestic help. You look like you need it, babe.
Say, girl.
No, we don't have a domestic help. So I try, but I'm not the best kind of help to have around. I'm very moody and short-tempered, so I stay in my room and come out of my cave every once in a while and do the dishes and feel like I've contributed enough and go back in. But last couple of days, I did go visit my brother and just stayed in because I just wanted to get out of the house and there was nothing else to do. So then once I went there and then came back home, I realized I have a much better setup here because there's mom and dad and I have my own room and my privacy and it's also private there, but it's just a lot of interaction and I didn't want that. I got used to being by myself. Yeah, but I've decided that now I'm gonna put in some more time, learn my instruments and do some actual learning instead of just whiling the time away.
So what's a skill you picked up thus far? Have you started working some instrument? You did pretty well with the guitar. I know you give credit to Sagar for that, but are you going to pursue that?
So I don't have a guitar. I have a ukulele and I used to play that. That's how Megha found me because I put up a cover on YouTube. So I am okay at my ukulele. I have a piano that I learned one song. I learned how to play Hedwig's theme from Harry Potter and then I thought, ab to bhai mast, ab to chutti. I'm a pro now. But I want to actually learn to play the piano, read some more. A lot of time goes away in just scrolling Instagram FaceTime and random video calls, and you just don't know where the day goes these days.
Correct. Karanvir, I mean, my heart reaches out to you, but I mean, I can understand being away from parents, they're in another country, but I guess the best we can do right now is just self-isolate. So how's life been thus far? Have you managed to go out, get supplies, or does it come into the building? Is it home delivered? Do you sanitize, bring it up? Just life in lockdown, dude.
Yeah, I mean, I do go out a couple of weeks just to, stock up things. And I think it's really hard because, you see a lot of people on the streets, who don't have any kind of shelter and, they're just roaming around. So, then I couldn't do that after one point of time. So finally, I've, started using the Swiggy service so that, they can bring stuff. And because it's really hard to, watch all those little kids, running around in the sun and, asking for supplies. But other than that, I mean, when you stay out of India, you get used to washing your dishes and stuff like that. So I'm comfortable doing that. But
Jhadu pocha skills are up to the mark.
yeah, so I kind of practiced that before I came here. So the vacuuming and the pocha and all that, I was kind of used to that. So I think it's okay. It just becomes, you miss work after one point of time. You want to go on set, you want to start working again, and that's the thing that I'm really missing. But other than that, I like my own company. I like to be by myself. So it's good. I mean, other than that, it's all good.
So what's the skill you picked up? I mean, being indoors, is there something you picked up and said, wow, I've worked on that?
I've actually realized that I have this yearning to write, which I didn't really, but it's not that I'm writing pages or I'm writing books or scripts, but just, a little paragraph here and there, just rhyming words and, just like all that, just little things, scribbling things basically. So I realized that so I don't know if it's a skill or not, but it's something that I didn't know that I'm interested in. But yeah, I'm kind of doing that these days.
Lockdown creativity, that's what I call it. Okay, here's some super news for you guys. There's still some more terrain to traverse with Abhay Deol, Yashwaswini Dayama and Karanvir Malhotra. So we're going to bring them back for a part 2 this week, so make sure you wait eagerly to catch that. I'm Hrishikesh, and this really is the opportune moment to bring on some Bryan Adams. It's You Belong to Me, right here on 94.3 Radio 1. One World, your station. By Lando, by Enrique Iglesias. Time to bring on my guests of the day. It's part 2 of the Abhay Deol, Yashwaswini Dayama and Karanvir Malhotra interview. We kicked it off a couple of days ago talking about their film What Are the Odds. Abhay produces and acts in it, but we haven't spoken about his life in lockdown just yet. Here we go.
94.3
This is Good Morning Mumbai with Hrishi K.
Radio 1.
Abhay, I mean, life seems like being in a dystopian film, man, sometimes. It's quite crazy. So how's it going? Do you have somebody to help you with the cooking, the cleaning? Are you doing all that yourself? Life in lockdown?
I live in Goa. Sorry, but we've not been in lockdown for a month, more than a month open, because it was a green zone. So that's what I meant when I said, actually, I have no complaints. I'm privileged where I'm at. I live in a house. I have living stuff. I mean, I live in LA as well, so I'm used to cooking. It's not that I have an issue doing that, but I have stuff. So again, like I feel almost shame talking about the position I'm in, but I'm in a good place. I'm glad I could support my staff through this time. And my state that I am living in is a green zone. Obviously now with migrants and people returning to their homes, that's a spike, and that was bound to happen. So I think what's important is to try and stay home and not add a burden to the healthcare system by going out still, even if there is less of a lockdown where you are at. So I'm more focused on that what's going to happen to the rest of the country as we proceed forward. What precautions do I take with myself and the people who stay with me?
Any new skill that you picked up?
I think it's important not to focus on the necessity of a skill, because I think a lot of people are tense and anxious this time. And then to think that, I must pick up a skill becomes another form of anxiety.
Interesting.
But having said that, I think it's an opportunity to sort of see what you're capable of. It doesn't mean you have to shine. It just means you have the opportunity to discover other aspects of yourself. So for example, I've been drawing and painting, and I wasn't doing it with the idea to do something spectacular, just to see, does it give me peace of mind really? I haven't really stopped doing what I do in the film space either. I'm developing a project, I'm setting up a new production. That hasn't stopped. I'm using this time to shoot stuff on camera and make videos. That's just for my own self. So that kind of answers the question of picking up a new skill set. I've never really directed anything, but now I'm doing stuff just for myself, not for any particular platform or person. So that has been wonderful, because it's not about being necessarily a skill set that I can capitalize on, as much as it it is an outlet for me to be creative with and please my own self.
Beautifully put. Abhay, these are disturbing times. I mean, you must be having conversations with your colleagues in the industry. I mean, for us, for example, in the radio business or the TV business, you can still broadcast from home, do stuff like this. But your predominant job as an actor involves going on set. And eventually, when we do start getting on the floor slowly and steadily, how's it all going to happen? One always worries about the actors, the crew, and things like that. So, what are your discussions with colleagues thus far? Are you guys still waiting and watching, or are people slowly now making plans to get on the floors?
I think by and large, people are waiting and watching. For me, you see, I've always worked outside of the Bollywood system. My conversation with people who have it difficult to make it a film, as it is, it doesn't matter that there's a pandemic. If anything, this pandemic is sort of democratizing things. Everybody's in the same boat. As far as the film industry is concerned, I believe there's support from within the industry. The people who are going to be really badly off are your people lower down the rung of the ladder, your light and your spot boys and all of that. They need to have a support system in place. The actors and all, obviously, actors too, they're at various levels of their careers. There'll be those who don't have any yet, will be nervous because when do they get a platform? When do shoot start? And that's where anxiety and all that comes in. So it's the unknown at the moment. We know for sure that whenever the cinemas do open, they'll open up in a phased manner. So we do realize that digital is going to continue growing. But when does production start? And when it does start, how will it start? How can you act in a film where you have to be covered, but then, if you're in the house and you're sitting with your wife in a scene, you have to uncover. So how is that going to work? It's not very simple. So there are larger questions for the larger community that still need to be answered. And I think the only way I can calm myself down or be grounded is to see how other people are way more badly off than I,
Yeah, gratitude. Yeah, correct.
Abhay Deol cultivating his share of that. One more leg still to go with him and his co-actors Yashwaswini Dayama and Karanvir Malhotra. Don't go anywhere. I'm Hrishikesh and here's Ava Max with Sweet But Psycho. Only on 94.3 Radio 1, One World, your station. Nicki Minaj and her Starships, a trio of actors are hanging with me. They're in this really wacky flick that's currently streaming on Netflix. It's called What Are the Odds? Abhay Deol is connecting with me from Goa and Karanvir Malhotra and Yashwaswini Dayama are here in Mumbai City. A last leg of conversation.
94.3
This is Good Morning Mumbai with Hrishikesh.
Radio 1.
Guys, I'm a firm believer if interviews go on for too long, they become boring for the people who are
I was
answering.
told 2 hours ago, It took you this long.
I have a question, but for all three of you.
Yeah.
If I don't think Abhay has been watching any content recently, but if you have been watching any shows or films and the protagonist is probably running in the street and so I was watching Kal Ho Na Ho the other day and Shah Rukh Khan does that thing where he reads that imaginary letter and he runs and he stands next to this telephone booth and he's got his thumb in his mouth, and in my head I started freaking out because I was like, bro, don't touch anything and put it in your mouth. Is that happening to you as well? Are you
Kidding me? I saw What Are the Odds and I saw the kissing scene and I'm like, are people going to be able to do that as freely in a party?
I think you know what it is, because we don't have a cure and because we don't want to fall sick right now when the health system is burdened. It is only right now that we're so nervous about getting it. Eventually, hopefully, there will be a cure. It's very possible there is. And even if there is no cure, it's going to be one of many diseases that are endemic and come and go. Viruses and bacteria exist. It's just that right now it sounds scary and because it's uncertain times. But this is not the first time we've had a pandemic or a lockdown. And I think that's what people need to remind themselves. But you do have to take caution, Yash, to answer your question. Yes, to go out. When I come back, I'll wash my hands or I'll take a shower because I've been out. But there's only so much you can do. My friends just arrived. Now they're allowing people to come in through the border. They came in from Maharashtra. They were tested. They came negative. But, the fact that they had to go to a hospital to get tested, you're more likely to pick up the COVID now than you were before because everybody's being pushed to the same space to get tested. So the thought that I might get it from them now was there on my head. But then they come home, they're staying with me. Then how can you avoid that?
But there are some driving tests also happening. I feel like they should increase the number so then that reduces your stress of catching it at a hospital. I'm sorry, now this has become like a full conversation.
If you're driving in from one state to another, you'll obviously have to go where the government is asking you to go to get yourself tested.
Yeah. No, I'm saying from the government, I feel like there should be more mobile spots to get tested instead of going into the...
Yeah.
So it's like your character says, vote for the arts and culture and medicine.
But you're to the point there, Yash.
Yeah,
They need
you
to
do.
be more
Yeah,
mobile. It's supposed to get people to one hospital where everybody enters, and thereby increasing their of getting it.
Yeah.
Shiny, happy people. Thank you for a lovely experience. I just loved What Are the Odds, and keep up the great work that you're doing. Cheers. Bye-bye. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
Enjoy some Shaggy and Konkara. This one's Banana on 94.3 Radio 1. One World, your station. I'm Hrishi K.